IMS announces a reduced capacity for next month's Indianapolis 500, and NASCAR makes a pretty bold move with regarding future practice and qualifying sessions for the remainder of the season. Yo, what is up everyone, my name is Jared Carlson and welcome back to the episode of Inside the Lines. Guys, we have a huge episode for you guys here today, so let's not waste any time and jump right into it. Now, our first story is coming from Speedway, Indiana, as the Indianapolis Motor Speedway has announced that for next month's Indy 500, the track will allow up to 25% capacity for the race, and that will equate to 87,500 people. Now, they also announced that anyone that will be attending the Indy 500 next month will be required to wear face coverings, I believe, the entire time, not including in the stands, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong about that, but they are going to be permitted to wear face coverings like a mask or something of that nature. And ticket sales will also not be permitted until July 24th, so this Friday, to help further limit the amount of people that will attend the race. Now, Mark Miles, the president and CEO of Penske Entertainment Corporation, he put out a statement regarding the announcement of limiting the capacity for next month's Indy 500. He said, quote, "In June, we announced that the race was on and that attendance would be limited to no more than 50% of capacity. We also made clear we intend to do things differently this year by offering credits to fans who had previously purchased tickets, encouraging those over 65 to stay at home, limiting attendance in the infield, reducing tickets in our suites, and promising fans their decision to not attend would not impact their seniority or right to renew tickets for 2021. We now anticipate attendance at approximately 25% capacity. We will welcome fans back, and we have an aggressive plan in place, which has been developed through collaboration with national, state, and local health experts." Now, that development or that plan, that's set to be announced, at least at the time of this recording, later on in the day. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it was around a 95 to about 100-page report or document that's going to go through everything regarding what's going to happen in terms of procedures and what you need to know for next month's Indy 500. Now, IMS also released some safety precaution examples that they're going to be enforcing for the Indy 500. Things like the reassignment of seats to provide for greater distancing, so more than likely 6 feet apart, or if you're going to go with a group of people, you're going to be separated so that no more than 2 people are next to each other. The issuance and requirement of the use of masks, distribution of hand sanitizer to all who enter, as well as temperature checks in order to enter into the facility, changes throughout the facility to minimize lines and gathering spots, including limiting options from concession stands to mostly pre-packaged foods, and as well as numerous other changes will also be in place, and more than likely we're going to get that information when that 100-page document gets released. IMS has also said that they will fulfill all ticket requests that have been received from existing customers. Those tickets will be distributed beginning the first week of August. And I am a bit worried about this because it wasn't, I think, 1 or 2 weeks ago when we had that NASCAR Indycar doubleheader, when Mark Miles was interviewed by Mike Tirico about what's going to happen with the Indy 500. I believe he said 50% capacity, and that was 2 weeks ago. Now we're down to 25% capacity, so it's not good, but at the same time, hopefully it stays like that. Hopefully it doesn't get worse, because if you go from 50% to 25% in just 2 weeks, we still got a month away from the Indy 500. Who knows what's going to happen between now and then, specifically at this rate, which, again, we have to admit, America has not done the best job of trying to slow down the rate of COVID-19. But yeah, hopefully nothing else goes bad for the Indy 500, and the 87,500 people that will be attending that race have a good and safe time. I will say that they didn't state this in their announcement. They did not mention anything about the blackout. The blackout, we all know what that is in terms of Indy 500, is the way to encourage people to go to the event. And once the Indy 500 is sold out, they'll lift the blackout. They did not mention any of this in that announcement. And that worries me because specifically we have so many people that are not going to be able to watch the race. Again, nearly half of the attendance that the Indy 500 or that the track itself can hold. I think it's like 160,000, and only 87,500 are allowed to attend that event. You're going to have to lift the blackout just for this one time. Or even when all the other festivities are going to be going around Indy 500, or should say the month of August, I guess I should say. I know NBC, they have their IndyCar Pass or the IndyCar Gold, whatever it's called. I really think it's a good idea for NBC for this just one time, just to let it put it on for free. Put it on the NBC Sports app. Put it on YouTube for IndyCar. Just for this one time, make an exemption. With so many people not being allowed to go to the event, I think it'll be good for IMS to lift the blackout, and I think it'll be good for NBC to talk or to go with the direction of allowing for this one time only, having footage that would only be allowed for IndyCar Pass, put it on the IndyCar YouTube channel, or stream it on the NBC Sports app that is free and that everyone can use, or something of that nature, because I don't think it's fair to further punish people when they want to go to the event but are not allowed to. As for the reaction of this announcement, it has been mixed. You had some people that would say cancel it completely. You had some people say they would rather just have it take place without any fans, etc. And I'm leaning towards, as long as it's not like what NASCAR and what happened at Texas, as an example, when you just see crowds of people together. As long as it's nothing like that, I am perfectly okay with IMS having fans at the racetrack. I know Penske and everyone that's going to be working behind the scenes to make sure that this event is going to happen as safe as possible. I have no problem with that. I think they're going to do a good job making sure that everyone that attends to the racetrack comes in clean, and make sure that anyone leaves the racetrack comes out clean. So I have no problems with it, but that's just my thoughts. What are you guys' opinions? I just smacked myself with this. What are you guys' opinions on this announcement? Are you for it? Are you against it? Leave your suggestions down below in the comments. With that, I want to announce a new segment onto Inside Lines called Rapid Fire. This is going to be going over stories that don't require much time. It's just like a quickly glance over, or things you would like to know. So let's begin with the rapid fire right now. We start off in the world of IMSA, as Acura announced on Tuesday that it will not continue with Penske Racing, or Team Penske, in the DPI class next season, following reports of the split at the end of the 2020 season. This will end a 3-year force that started back in 2018, launching with the Acura RX-05, which has since gone on to score 4 victories in the WeatherTech Championship competition, as well as the 2019 DPI title with Acura driver Dane Cameron and Team Penske's Juan Pablo Montoya. Acura has yet to comment on the future of its ARX-05 program, although sources speculate that they believe that multiple teams are in discussion with the manufacturer for next year. Motorsports Weekend ratings came out, thank you to Adam Stern. The NASCAR Cup Series from the Texas Motor Speedway on NBCSN had 2.764 million viewers tuned into Sunday's event, making the second most watched sports event of the weekend, which was beaten out by golf on CBS. Now, this comparison to the same weekend last season back in New Hampshire, ratings were flat, however, 2% down in viewership. The Xfinity Series on NBCSN making 980,000 watched. NHRA on Fox makes a whopping return, nearly 1,906,000 to be exact. F1 on ESPN from Hungary, 703,000. MotoGP on NBC in a tape delay in Spain with the 527,000. Trucks on FS1, 446,000. And IndyCar on NBCSN, 362,000 on Saturday. NASCAR has announced that they have fined Angela Ruck's husband, Michael Ruck, $10,000 for a central roster violation under COVID-19 protocols. He was listed as a number 00 truck team's hauler driver, but NASCAR, however, at this time has not given an exact reason for the violation. Rumors have been swirling around the past couple of days that Roger Penske might be looking to buy the Iowa Speedway. Currently, it's owned by NASCAR, but with talk of Iowa bleeding money the past few years, and with their truck and Xfinity races being cut from the schedule, rumors say that ISC might shut down Iowa. In a statement from Roger Penske, he says, quote, "At this point, it's owned by ISC, and we would like to continue to rent it in the coming years. We did a contract this year where we were the promoter, and all we did was make a deal to rent the track, and we'd like to continue to rent it in the future years." And finally, Hendrick Motorsports announces that Chad Knaus, the crew chief for the number 24 car for William Byron, will remain home with his wife Brooke, who's expected to give birth to their daughter any day now. Keith Run will take over for Chad Knaus this Thursday. And now on to our final story that involves around NASCAR and their announcement yesterday that they will not be holding any practice or qualifying sessions for the remainder of the 2020 season. And this is going to go through all 3 of its top divisions in the Cup Series, Xfinity, and the Truck Series. Now, personally, I am not a fan of this at all, but I'm going to try to explain both sides. So I'm going to try to explain first the side of why I don't think this is a good idea. First of all, you look at the track that's coming up in a few weeks, the Daytona road course. 95% of the field has not even seen the Daytona road course in a race car. I think the exceptions are Jimmy Johnson, Kyle Busch, maybe Michael McDowell, but I could be wrong about that. But that's about all I can think of. You look at some rookies, Quinn Half, that are not experienced with even racing in the Cup Series, and then now you're going to put them in a track that they've never even seen before. No practice, no qualifying, no nothing like that. That's a problem. Okay, we saw what happened in the Roval 2018 when you had Bubba Wallace wrecking, Eric Jones wrecking. I mean, it was complete chaos in practice. They had 3 practice sessions, I believe, and it was still chaos near the ending of the race. And now you're going to go to Daytona road course, track that again. 95% of the field has never even been on, and you're going to have them go at the track for the first time in race conditions. No, it's not going to end well. I think only 2 things are going to come out of this from that Daytona Roval. It's either going to be a wreck fest because obviously drivers, they are not prepared for this race. They don't have any practice, no qualifying time. Or number 2 is going to be a complete snooze fest because drivers are going to be afraid to do anything. They first want to get settled in maybe. And who knows? Like I said, it might just be a complete snooze fest because drivers are probably too afraid to try and do anything because they don't want to wreck their race car. And this also goes for when the NASCAR playoffs begin. How is NASCAR going to do that? I do have an idea that probably when they do the random starting grid, they're probably going to do first the top 16, like the drivers are in the playoffs. All right, we'll do the top 16 and see where you stack up there. So I think that's more than likely what they're going to do, but also consider maybe how are they going to do the clash. I know 1 or 2 years ago they did the playoff grid, but then last year and this year they got rid of that. Maybe next year they might bring that back again. Who knows? So that is why I don't like it. Another reason why I don't like it is because it's affecting the smaller teams. Currently, teams like Shepherd Racing Ventures, who are trying to get to do races in order to stay open, they're not going to be able to do that anymore. And who knows? Shepherd Racing Ventures could be one of several teams that might have to close up shop because if they can't race, how are they going to make their money? Literally, going to the track is how they make their money. With some race teams, they live paycheck by paycheck. And now, if you exclude them from participating in these races because they can't practice nor qualify, I won't be surprised if you see multiple shops shut down by the end of the 2020 season. But now let's look into the reason as to why I believe they went with this move. Simply put, the teams that are competing, they do not want to risk wrecking their race cars in practice or qualifying. And that's understandable, specifically with COVID-19 and everything that's going on, traveling state to state back and forth. You do want to make sure that people that are at the track, they stay at the racetrack and they have limited movement. Also, with traveling back and forth, it could cause some concern that someone that might travel back to get their backup car might, coming back to the racetrack, contract the virus. Who knows? So I get that. I get both sides. But this, to me, brings up a bigger issue, I think, with NASCAR. And I think Steve Phelps, the president of NASCAR, has pointed this out numerous times on how they want to get feedback from everyone, from fans, from drivers, from teams, from broadcasters, to try and make everyone happy. I get that, but at the same time, you have to rule with an iron fist at some point. More than likely, the teams sort of push NASCAR to make this decision because that's the main reason why they made this announcement, so that teams wouldn't worry about wrecking their race cars. And I get that, but at one point, NASCAR, you got to be like, no, this is how we're going to do it. You either go for my way or the highway. You either like it, great. If not, you can leave. Because we have seen other forms of motorsports do this and have practice and qualifying sessions, and it's worked. Indycar, Formula One. You want just one 90-minute practice session. That's fine. Just one 90-minute practice session is fine. I think I understand when NASCAR came back to racing on May 17th at Darlington, that when COVID-19 was taking place around that time, it was very high alert. People were afraid to do anything. So I get that. You want them to get the racetrack and then get them out of there as quickly as possible. I get that. But I feel like as weeks and months have gone by, and now we're seeing other forms of motorsports that are trying to experiment. Okay, how can we do the practice? How can we do qualifying in a safe manner? And it's working. I don't understand why NASCAR cannot also take that approach. And again, this is F1's doing this. All right, this is Formula One, where Formula One and NASCAR budgets, F1 takes it. They skyrocket by how much money and how many people are at the racetrack, and they're able to make it work. NASCAR, I don't know why NASCAR is not doing this. And again, I think it's a situation where I feel like NASCAR, they just say, okay, yes, teams, you are essential. Race teams, you guys are essential. But look, this is how we're going to do it. If you like it, great. If not, tough luck. I feel like that the race teams sort of are. I don't want to say bullying NASCAR, but they're able to push them. They're able to be like, let's go this route. Let's go this route. NASCAR, you might have another route, but we like our route better. And basically, you need us, so we're going to do this. And NASCAR, they're just letting them control them, I guess. I feel like the race teams or the RTA, they're like puppet strings. They're like holding puppet strings onto NASCAR. They make them sort of do what they say. But that's my opinion. I feel like the race teams have too much control over decision making in NASCAR. Another example is with this package. Why do you think in 2019 they went with one package? Because of the teams. It's like, yes, I get it. Teams are important, but when are you gonna draw the line and be like, no. Okay, this is how we're going to do it. You either like it, great. If not, tough luck. But that's just my opinion personally. If anyone that's in a NASCAR race team can justify why my reasoning is wrong, you can do so in the comments down below, because I feel like what I said is kind of controversial. And what's the greatest thing about having an opinion on the internet? People have the opportunity to comment down below and just shit on you for having a bad opinion. So yeah, I can't wait to hear what you guys' thoughts on that. Are you for this change? Do you like that NASCAR not having practice and qualifying sessions? Do you like it? Or do you not? Love to hear you guys' thoughts down below. And don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, tomorrow kicks off 3 days of on-track action from the Kansas Speedway. Starts off with NASCAR on MDK Race Day. That will take place at 9 a.m. Eastern Time tomorrow, Thursday morning. So make sure you guys tune in for that as we get you set and ready for tonight's Kansas race and then for the NASCAR Cup Series. And that Cup Series race is going to be one of 5 races taking place this weekend. We start off with a double header. The first race of the NASCAR trucks for the Kansas Speedway. That will take place at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on FS1, followed up by the ARCA Menard Series from the Kansas Speedway. That'll take place at 10 p.m. again on FS1. And then on Saturday, the second part of the NASCAR trucks from the Kansas Speedway at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time again on FS1. And then we wrap up NASCAR racing from Kansas with the Xfinity Series 5 p.m. Eastern Time on NBCSN. But that's going to conclude this episode of Inside the Lines. Guys, if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe for more content, as I got a lot of good ones coming for you guys up in the near future. But until next time, my name is Jack Cross from MBK, and I'll see you guys next time.